EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Victory Friday edition of Birds 365. Eagles get the win last night, everybody, 26-18. They moved to 8-2 on the year, and they are officially in that lead spot in the NFC East by a decent margin. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Football Friday, a Victory Friday, an Overreaction Friday, all sorts of things? Johnny Mac, how you feeling?
A delusional Friday. I got some delusions. I think I'm seeing things. So, yeah, hopefully everybody can get me through this one. Late night. Eagles keep winning, man. Unlike my green screen, they keep winning. Pretty impressive closing effort, fourth quarter effort. I think people already forget they were losing at the end of the third quarter, which is pretty amazing if you think about the way that game ended. And then it was just like a spigot of just domination, Washington falling apart. And it wasn't even that close, 26-18. Obviously, you had the garbage time touchdown for Washington and 2-point conversion, but really went from 10-6 to 26-10 in the true guts of the game. It was all offensive line and Saquon Barkley closing it up for the Philadelphia Eagles, which, hey, do what you got to do to win. But yeah, if there's one, and I say, the true star was the defense. The defense was unbelievable, but yeah, and that passing game is the one thing I look at and say, it's not where it needs to be. But, we're nitpicking at 8-2. But the goal is, remember, the goal is not to win the NFC East, even though it is, but the expectations are the expectations. Are they going to win the NFC East? Yes. Are they going to make the playoffs? Yes. Are they going to be in the conversation to be the number one seed? Maybe.
Yeah.
Can they go to the Super Bowl? That's where I don't know if anybody else has different expectations in there. If it's about doing all that, everything's going great. If it's about winning the Super Bowl, still got one little concern.
Yep, no doubt about it. I mean, you brought up the fourth quarter too. Obviously, the game didn't quite look like it did at the end when you ended after 3. Birds had 20 points in the fourth quarter. They went into that quarter down 10-6. I mean, in a way, guys, it was really the tale of the one quarter, because I was sitting there. I tweeted, we have 6 points after 3 quarters. This is not a good offensive performance. Saquon Barkley, as John mentioned, we will be giving away a jersey, everybody. So hit that link in the chat pinned at the top and become a member today. We added a bunch of members last night on the post-game show, and I'm excited to give away another jersey. I will do that on Monday's show. So if you're checking in today and you're a new member, I did not get a chance to pull the member list and prepare all the giveaway stuff. Just too late last night when I went to bed. I had a couple other things to do after the show. So apologies for that. But we will do the giveaway on Monday. I'm looking forward to doing that Monday after hours of Birds 365, as some like to call it. Zander time on Birds 365. So we'll do that then. He capped the game off, really. A 23-yard touchdown run and a 39-yard touchdown run later in the quarter where Cam Jurgens absolutely destroyed a man. I saw Johnny Mac tweet that out.
My Lord. People should go look at that block.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is Cam that far down the field, number one? And it's because he destroyed the guy originally, then got him twice, I think. That poor guy's got a family, I think. Yep. Yeah, I mean, and again, because I did not believe, and I say it all the time, I did not believe that Saquon Barkley would have the kind of impact he has had on this team going back to the off season when all the hype started. And he's been way more than I expected, And generally, when we always talked about the total yardage of what I expected, which was 16 to 17, I was above most people. And he's going to crash through that. maybe next week, who knows, at least in 2 weeks, if he continues at this particular pace. But, you know, I mean, look at those two. Look at the holes on those 2 touchdowns. Like, everybody keeps making the Giants comparisons, and he didn't do this with the Giants, and he did. They are massive.
It's almost not believable in an NFL football game, the
It
type of holes
really
he's running
isn't.
through.
It's just unbelievable. Now, the difference with Saquon, I said on the post-game show, is, Miles might turn the 23-yard touchdown to a 15, 16-yard run, and you got to punch it in from there. And DeAndre Swift, same. He gets it and it's gone. Bang, he's done. It's touchdown. It's 6. So there's been that massive improvement. But, boy, yeah, watch the Cam Jurgens play.
Yeah,
it's the entire offense, not just Cam, obviously, but.
Yeah, but that particular block it was Jason Kelsey-esque, where he gets up into the second level and just eviscerates. I think it was the safety that eviscerated. It was great to watch, though. We'll talk about the Eagles' offense. Offense in this game, dare I say, offensive struggles for 3 quarters. The Eagles' offense, particularly the passing game, was largely ineffective. Drop passes, poor execution. Jalen was I don't think he looked himself after he took those 2 hits to the head. Now, he cleared concussion protocol, so I'm not going to say they didn't check on him or anything, or he wasn't okay. I'm just speaking from what I saw with my own eyes. Looked like he might have been seeing stars a little bit out there after his head slammed off the turf.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the implications for the NFC East. The Eagles are obviously now in first place and really in the driver's seat to win this division. And then Saquon Barkley's impact. So good stuff there. We just mentioned that. But, John, we got to talk about defense, man. Defense. Dare I say it? Is this defense the best defense in the league right now, the way they're playing? Everybody, after the game, so it was like, he's a rookie quarterback. I'm like, he wasn't. Nobody cared about that when they were telling me how great he was. I mean, we made that dude look mediocre at best. He was a check down Charlie all day to Austin Eckler.
Oh, he wasn't even mediocre. He was flat out bad.
Yes, he was.
And you have to give all the credit to the Eagles defense. I mean, now there's a lot of, he's banged up and this and that. Well, he's banged up before. And, Chris Franklin, my buddy, friend of the show, pointed out, I think it was Jalen Carter, but I got to go back today because obviously I've been up, slept for about 2 hours, but
yeah.
I believe it was Jalen Carter who hit him really hard early in the game. And I don't think he was the same after that hit.
Yeah, he sent shockwaves through him, dude.
Yeah, and then there's if you think about it from a boxing match, but sometimes you hit a guy early and he's like, oh boy, I'm in trouble. And I think that's what happened. I really do. Because he was like, he wasn't mediocre. He was terrible. And I mean, inaccurate, wouldn't even look at the receivers because he didn't want to give them time to get open, develop patterns because he was seeing ghosts. And it was all checkdowns and all flat. Flat plays to Austin Eckler. Did a good job. The one commander who can probably look at, even he had a drop though that would have been a first down. Now Jacoby, I think, got a hand on it, but he still should have caught it. But he was the one commander that played pretty well, I would say, at least from the first watch. But that defense is nobody. I don't care who you are. Nobody saw this coming. And if you say you did, I don't believe you.
There's nobody that saw this coming. I mean, Zach Bond is literally in the conversation as the best linebacker in the NFL. I'm not saying he is, but he's in that. Yeah. And John, it's funny. I know you don't see the TV broadcast. I'm sitting on the postgame show. We've been talking about the contract all week. He's sitting there next to Jalen Hurts on the field, getting Amazon Prime, not the podium treatment, but, the postgame interview. It's Jalen Hurts and it's Zach Bond. So I say that because now everybody's starting to learn about Zach Bond. Now he does it on prime time. He makes a big stop on 4th and 2 and wrecks Jaden
What a
Daniels.
stop, by the way.
Oh
What
my
a
gosh,
stop.
was that a good stop? I mean, it really was an unbelievable
And
play. I
that's
went
a
and
stop.
rewatched it.
Brandon Lee Gouton and I always talk about that stop that PFF has, because I don't care about tackles. You say 14 tackles. You know, Jeremy Chinn's a perfect example of that. I kept hearing the name Jeremy Chinn, and Ed Kratz loves Jeremy Chinn, and I'm like, he's a good player. He's a big safety, really big, but yeah, he's not much in coverage. And he kept hearing his name, Jeremy Chinn, Jeremy. It's all 7-8 yards down the field. Like, I don't give a crap about
Yeah,
something.
right.
Zach Bond's stopping people. That's what they call the near the line of scrimmage, making plays, making meaningful plays that help the defense.
Really meaningful plays.
Yeah.
And by the way, it doesn't look bad in coverage either. You remember that first
Oh
drive?
no, he's been great in coverage. He's been great in
dove
coverage.
and broke up that pass. I mean, he
Yeah.
right now he looks like a special player for this team, and we'll see what he continues to do. But
Yeah,
we'll talk about the
he's
contract.
and he was on special teams as well. He made a special teams tackle. He popped up on special teams because they evidently needed him there. Yeah, he's been, I always say, as good as Saquon Barkley is, he's not their best free agent signing. Their best free agent signing, Zach Bond. I mean, he is. I dare say you say he's among the best linebackers. I put one guy ahead of him, Fred Warner. That's it. And you can make an argument Zach's been better. You can make that argument.
Yes, you could.
And it won't be because they always give it to guys who get sacked. He should be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation.
Yes, I agree. If you took the names off the jerseys and you put the tape in front of somebody and they had no idea, who had the pedigree like Fred does, they might say Zach Bond's playing better. He's playing that good. He's a missile out there. You pointed that on the 4th and 2. I mean, he's getting upfield. I'm like, holy shit!
Yeah.
He decked. He wrecked Jaden Daniels out of bounds on that play. So big stop there from Zach Bond. And John, you know what else I thought stood out in this game? Go ahead if you want to get a point in on Bond.
It was great on the 4th and 2. It was great seeing that live because I'm sitting there going, they bobbled the snap. You're like typical Washington. They F it up, and poor Dan Quinn's going to take the points, Dan Quinn. But which, by the way, he addressed that well after the game. Dan Quinn, Nick could learn something from the way Dan Quinn addressed that. But I digress. I'm like, but then he re-grabbed the ball, and I'm like, oh, all right, he's going to make it. And here comes Zach like a freaking missile, like you said. And when he hit him, Jane Daniels just stopped and went backwards.
Yes.
He's been such a physical player as well, and the Eagles pride themselves on being physical and beating teams up. And they beat the crap out of that team for 3 quarters. And they fell apart in the 4th because of that.
No doubt. It was an unbelievable defensive performance for this team. I mean, not just Zach Bond. Zach Bond is obviously playing like a star. How about Quinyon Mitchell? How about that defensive line, John? They terrorized Jalen Daniels.
Jalen Carter every single snap.
Unbelievable what Jalen Carter is doing right now, man. I mean, he had that shaky start of a little bit of ups and downs, and now it's just full steam ahead. I'm coming to show everybody how freaking good I am is Jalen Carter right now, John. He's on a tear.
Yeah. And while I just gave all those, and deservedly so, all those legitimate praising of Zach Bond, he's not the best player on the Eagles defense. Best player on the Eagles defense is Jalen Carter.
Yeah. And
look, he's not in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation because that's a stat-based award, and you got to make splash plays. And but the way he dominates the front, there's so many times where he just beats his man right off the snap, and wrecks a play. And he might not even be involved with it. The end of it, whether it comes to a tackle for loss, sack, whatever. But he's creating it for others. And he's playing at the level we've all envisioned, at least all of us who believed in him as the best player in his particular draft. He's playing like that right now. I know everybody wants sacks, and I for those who've listened to the show a long time, I don't give a shit about sacks. As long as the pressure's there, as long as the impact is there. And the Eagles had 3 of them, and he got none of them. But if you watch that game, as I said, he set the tone by really, putting a big hit on Jaden Daniels early. Yeah. He is playing. And to go from where he was last year as far as a conditioning standpoint, when it was like, wow, he's really good early in the season, then he wore down. And now we're already, this is getting late, This is already week 11. It's already November. It's finally a little bit of chill in the air. And this guy's playing every snap.
Impressive stuff. There are a couple notable mentions. I don't know if we're going to have time before we get Jeff Kerr up. We'll see if Jeff joins us. In a long night for him, I'm sure, as well. I think a couple players deserve notable mentions, and I don't think we'll be able to dive into each of them right now. We will on the show at some point. I think Reed Blankenship deserves a mention. That dude just continues to make plays.
Most underrated player, though.
Yes. I think you're right about that. He deserves a mention. Cooper DeJean, again, deserves a mention. We'll talk about Jalen Hurts a little bit. We got to talk about Jake Elliott.
Brandon Graham, man.
Brandon Graham. I think Nolan Smith deserves a mention, John. He's starting to turn the edge. That third down sack was a big one. That was in a key moment in the game with Nolan Smith. I think he deserves some credit too. Josh Sweat looks pretty good.
Had a big game. Everybody had. Everybody.
Jordan Davis showed up. They could not run the ball on us at all, really.
And obviously, Quinyon, I don't know what to say about Quinyon because nobody's throwing. Jay Daniels wasn't throwing the ball to any receivers. So, we'll see what it looks like on film as you get to the all-22. But all I know about Quinyon Mitchell is he's very good.
Yeah. Well, let me give you the stats. And I'll also tell you what Terry McLaurin. If you don't want to listen to me, listen to Terry McLaurin, the man who was covered by, or who was covering him. Quinyon Mitchell lined up across from Terry McLaurin on 20 out of 25 of his routes, and 19 of 20 were those were out wide. He gave up 0 targets, 0 receptions, 0 yards, and he played 6 of those snaps in press coverage. That's courtesy of Next Gen Stats. And after the game, and this is courtesy of EJ Smith, when they talked to Terry about Quinyon, he said he's a good corner. He doesn't play like a rookie. So Scary Terry, some respect. By the way, who can no longer, you can't be called Scary Terry after you have 1 catch for 10 yards. You just can't.
Well, that's the thing, though. Yeah, he's having I put more of that on Jalen Carter. He only threw the ball to Terry McLaurin twice.
Yeah.
That's it. And he had 1 catch with 11 minutes left in the third quarter, I think it was. He didn't look at him. He didn't look at Zacchaeus. No. He didn't look at the Browns. Noah was the one who got a couple targets.
Yeah.
He didn't look at Dynamic Brown. Now, they didn't play well. He didn't look at Luke McCaffrey. He didn't look at wide receivers because he was spooked.
He was seeing ghosts, John. He was seeing shadows, dude.
Yeah. So I get everybody's going to look at the numbers. All I'll say about Quinyon is he's really good. He's phenomenal for a rookie, as Terry points out. He doesn't play like a rookie. We've known that for a while.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying I wouldn't look at those stats and say, well, there are certain quarterbacks who are going to throw the ball to the receiver 50-50. A.J. Brown, we see it all the time. You got to give your best player a chance. He didn't give the best player a chance.
Yeah.
Now maybe Quinyon intercepts it. Maybe he does all these things. He didn't throw the ball to his receivers. He couldn't. He wasn't comfortable.
No, he wasn't. That offensive line couldn't hold up versus our defensive line last night. 2 other things I want to talk about before we get to our break, and hopefully we'll have Jeff Kerr. If not, John, Get another cup of coffee, my friend.
Yeah, I got.
I want to talk
had to
about
get the
Jake
big
Elliott, and then I
mug.
want to talk about Jalen Hurts. We'll talk about Jake first. John, what
I
the
had to
hell is
get
going
the
on with this
big
guy?
mug, by the way. The
There you
big
go.
mug.
Got the big dog mug. I love it. I got that same mug. Jake Elliott, man, what's going on with him? I mean, he missed 2 field goals,
Yeah,
44 and 51,
that's
missed an extra point. Is he in his head? Does he have the yips? Did Nick Sirianni put him on ice? Or maybe has he stunk in practice all year? And this is why Nick's not using him.
nah, I don't know. I mean,
No, I know not that. I was
this
just
guy's
saying.
been rock solid pretty much. He had one bad season though. The end of the Doug Peter. Obviously, everybody had a bad
Yeah.
season, and then he bounced back, and that's the hope that's going to happen here. Look, I talked about it. It's weird for me because Jake's so good at everything. I always say it. He's like the best ping pong player. He's the best softball player.
He's one of those guys. Everybody knows those
Yeah.
guys. They're just
He's
good
the
at
best
everything.
golfer. He's the best golfer on the team. Saquon's always, Saquon's become a big golfer and loves it, loves to talk about it. And I asked him one day, "Have you played Jake yet?" And he's like, "I'm not ready for that." It's like, that like everybody knows. And it basically everything for hand-eye coordination, he's awesome at. And even he would put those trick golf shots on in wherever Instagram,
Right.
whatever social media. Yeah, it's so bizarre. I mean, the guy is like rock solid. He missed 2 kicks all of last year, field goals,
Yep.
and he missed 2 in the first half. And a 51, all right, people have become used to 50-yard field goals. All right, there was some wind out there. It's getting later. As I said, it's getting colder. It was a more difficult kicking environment. Michael Clay talked about it early in the season when everybody all across the league was making 50-yarders. That'll change when the weather starts to change. And I think we're here when that comes. So I can forgive the 51-yarder, although, he's 0 for 4 plus 50. And he's been, obviously, he's already franchise leader. He's, done so much with long kicks. So that's a concern, but
That's enough to give you some concern. 0 for 4 this year. Because look, if you need him in a big spot when these games get closer, when the margins are tight, I mean, I know we joke about Nick
it's a
not loving a kick.
concern.
That's where you need your kicker really the most. I mean, let's be real. When you're a great team, and you struggle or the drive is stalled at the 35, you need your kicker to drill the 50 plus. I mean, that's
Well, yeah, it's nice when they do it. I'm just saying, I think people take it for granted now because of a little bit, and I do think it's, I can live with that. Is what I'm trying to say. I can live with that.
I get it.
44, I can't live with. Missed extra point, I can't live with.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see if the hold was there, the snap was there, all that kind of stuff. Because Jake is very, and I mean very, above board and took complete credit for it. I'm trying to bring up, I transcribed him. It's frustrating. Adjectives are kind of almost pathetic, uncharacteristic. It was a tough night. So he's pointing at himself. He's not the kind of guy that will walk away from that. So, but that's why I want to look at, sometimes, when you see guys miss who are doing well, it's almost always a bad snap or a late hold, maybe a little bit of a hiccup with the hold. So we have to see how that went. And I haven't looked at it yet, but you almost hope that's the case because, yeah, it's not acceptable, the performance by Jake Elliott.
No doubt about it. John, I will take a page out of your book and I will do my best to not complain about the officials, but God, they were bad last night, John. They had a lot. I mean, they had some bad calls. Let's get into Jalen Hurts, John. I don't want to pollute the question. I just want to get your take. When you watched that game, what were your takeaways from what you saw from the quarterback, Jalen Hurts?
Same as always, man. It's like certain plays are like, what are you doing, dude? And then he makes a play with his leg, and you're like, where's that pin? And he's converting these big third downs and keeping drives going. Um, and then there's generally a kill shot, which might have been the play that Dallas Goedert, which was fumbled, and then Grant Calcaterra saved it.
Yeah, that was good.
And then because that was right after, I think the game was 12-10 when the Commanders went for it on 4th and 2
Yeah.
at the Eagles 26. And if they convert that, even if they don't score the touchdown, they're probably getting a field goal. Even though they have a backup kicker, he was fine. Zane Gonzalez was fine throughout the game, and he's a veteran guy, so he probably, at the bare minimum, they're up 13-12, and you're still in the dogfight. But that was such a big sea change in the game, the Zach Bond play, and then they immediately go down the field. And the big play to go down the field, I think people forget because they were all focused on the touchdown runs, was the big throw to Dallas Goedert. And Dallas was loose with the football and fumbled. And you normally, when you fumble that far down the field, because that was 30.
30 yards up for sure.
It's
Normally
all
that's a lost ball. Yeah.
Yeah, that's lost. It's all defense unless you get it back yourself. But Grant Calcaterra was, doing what he was supposed to do. It's sort of like maybe a baseball outfielder backing up the other outfielder. Some guys do it, some guys don't. And the ball, you got a little bit lucky, and the ball popped right to Grant, and you had the big play. And then I think next play or 2 plays later, Saquon went in for the first touchdown.
Yep. The 23-yarder. Yep.
And then 20 seconds later, it was Reed Blankenship, and bang, another touchdown. And the game was over essentially. But yeah, that was a big play in the game. The biggest to me remains Zach's stop. That was the turning point of the game to me. But so many little things. And with Jalen, to your original question, yeah, maybe it was maybe he was hurt. Maybe he was groggy. Obviously, they tested him for a concussion. I talk about this all the time. This concussion protocol is a bunch of bullshit. I mean,
Yeah,
it's.
I said
I
that
think
last
a lot
time.
of people. Oh, he doesn't have a concussion. He hasn't concussion. Nobody knows.
I know. It's one of those injuries that like, it's not like a broken arm where it's like, oh yeah, my arm is
Yeah,
broken. I
exactly.
know my arm is
I
broken. You
think a
don't
lot of
know.
people think you can diagnose it like that.
I know. You can't at all. And
No.
Jalen's one of those guys. I mean, for better or for worse, I mean, I like this about him, but he's got that kind of a warrior mentality where he doesn't really give a shit. And if
Oh
his
yeah,
arm
he's
is not dangling on by a thread, he's going to go out there and play. And I wouldn't be surprised if he told, "Hey, I'm fine. But he was seeing a little stars out there for sure.
Oh, there's no question.
Yeah.
He was basically. That's why I was shocked they didn't stop the game and make him get evaluated earlier.
Yeah.
Because it was clear that he was shaken up, and there was something going on. And for whatever you mentioned, the officiating crew, I didn't think it was terrible, other than the normally over legislated stuff. It
There was a
typically
couple
is.
moments, John. I thought the Cooper DeJean call was brutal. I thought the Devontae Smith face mask they picked the flag up. The replay's playing in front of these dudes, and they.
Well, I thought. Well, the
I mean, that was
replays.
so clearly a face mask, though, John. They're playing on the big screen. He's grabbing on to under his helmet, which is
Yeah, but that's not a face mask.
no. They did. They the rules analyst said on the broadcast that it is. If you get under the helmet or in the holes of the helmet, that's technically considered a face mask.
Well, that's another thing with the over legislated. Some
Yeah.
people say that, some people don't, and even the rule. I always joke. I with Terry McCauley once. Terry thought I was insulting him on social media once, and I said, "Dude, I'm insulting the over legislation of the game that even you guys can't agree on the legislation of the rule because it's so. Like I heard guys say, no, that's not a face mask because that's what I'm saying. It's so arcane and so
That's fair.
bullshit. But what I'm trying to say is that has no impact on the game. Yes, do you like to have that as a call? Okay, yes. But I always bring up, since we're going down the rep route, I'll give a shout out to NFL Ref Stats on Twitter. So he sends out a cheat sheet every week to me. And Adrian Hill's crew, that was the referee last night. He does this stuff every week. He does number 1 for roughing the passer, co-ranked number 2 for defensive pass interference. They rank number 3 for offensive holding. A lot of typically a lot of ineligible men downfield penalties, but there weren't yesterday, so that was good.
Well, now I know.
And then he goes, Eagles are 4-4 and Eagles are 4-4-1 with Adrian Hill with all 4 losses on the road. So now they're 5-4-1, but they're 4-0-1 at home. So I'm not. I mean, I didn't come out of that game and say the officiating had a big part of it, other than the typical officiating bullshit you see in every NFL game.
Yeah, that's fair. I have no problem with that. I mean, maybe it's just the Eagle fan. I mean, looking for a couple extra calls that we didn't get, and then one on Cooper DeJean pissed me off because it makes him look worse. Thought it was a good play by him. But John, we have a couple super chats that we'll get to here. I want to thank our great viewers this morning. Quinn, Fly Parks, Jimmy Wen, A is in here. What's up, A? Abe, SMD Eagles, Jonathan Harvey, Kenny P, Crowley's in here. The Real Zeal's in here. Mike Fittery, Brian Garner, Philly D's in here. What's up, everybody? I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. I know it was kind of probably a long night for you guys too, watching the game, digesting, watching highlights, whatever you guys were doing. And I know some of these names were with me on the post-game show till about 3 a.m. So thank you guys for being here. Make sure you guys smash that like button for us. It's a Victory Friday. I think that means we should get some likes on Birds 365. It would mean a lot if you did that. So smash that like button away, and I will read a couple of your super chats right now. Big thanks to you guys for being here. Prince says, J-Mac, wake your ass up. Long night, Prince. Long night, brother. Brian Fleming.
Easier said than done, but I'm here.
Yeah.
Iron Man, I'm here.
You're here, Johnny. Johnny Mac, you've been here for 4.5 years. Never missed, brother. You deserve credit for that. Brian Fleming checks in. This is for Big Z and Johnny Mac. I know Z damn near ended damn near 3 a.m. and I assume J Mac got home around the same time. You guys are beast stills as prop drinking Coronas in a dress like the Hogs circa Joe Gibbs and Doug Williams. I love it, Fleming. Brian, thank you, man. We appreciate your support. And this show doesn't happen without all of our great viewers. So we appreciate that. Even if it's a couple long nights here and there, I'm good with that. Alexander Harris checks in with a member chat. By the way, our members will be giving away a Saquon Barkley jersey. I'll do that on Monday's edition of Birds 365. So get your memberships in today, and we will give away our 5th Saquon Barkley jersey of the year. Looking forward to doing that. Yeah.
5th. Boy,
5th. No, I think we're getting up to 10, dude. I think we're getting at least 10.
That's a hell of a year.
Yeah, he's having a good year, man. Alexander Harris says, if the defense can pitch shutouts these next 2 weeks, would you be convinced that this team can win a bowl playing bully ball, John? Well, man, they're pitching shutout.
Well, yeah, they're pitching
you can win without even playing bully ball. You can win with.
Okay, I always say I think people don't listen. You can win any way. The last team that the San Francisco 49ers, the Jimmy Garoppolo San Francisco 49ers, not the most recent group. They got to the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl with the lead, playing bully ball and taking the air out of the football and not letting the quarterback throw the football. And they got to the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl. And so, can you finish it? Sure. You can finish it. What it does is playing that way decreases your margin of error. Kansas City made a couple plays. All of a sudden, they're behind in the 4th quarter. Game's over. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't come back. They
In a
couldn't.
way, it's a probability game where you're trying to
Exactly.
yeah.
Thank you for explaining it better than me. I'm tired. Same thing that Tom Brady says about play calling. What are you doing at play calling? It's probabilities. Oh, it's 3rd and 7. They're going to be in man. I'm going to call some man beaters, and they're in zone. And all right, you're fucked.
Yeah.
If you're calling.
Well, I will say this: if running the football is lower probability, which clearly it is in the modern NFL, boy, it'll help to have a defense. Because John, you can even point to last night's game as a perfect example. If that defense isn't playing so good, and the Commanders are able to capitalize
Oh
on the
yeah,
Eagles'
game's
early
over.
struggles,
Yeah,
I mean, the Eagles aren't
game's
running
over.
the ball like they did in the second half to get back
Nope.
in that game.
But we're 14-3 instead of 10-3.
I
They
know,
weren't running the
so
football.
that's where the defense, man, it changes everything when you have a defense playing like this. And Zach Bond, arguably the leader of that pack with Jalen Carter.
You know, the
in the
weird
middle.
thing about playing the way they're playing, though, I will say, is that typically when you play that way, you have to play well early and get the lead, and they never play well early.
Right.
So it's been, they've been out, and they make plays in the passing game. They're much more equipped to make plays in the passing game, and that's what's frustrating. That they can't do it consistently. Yeah, but it's all about probabilities. That's the whole point. That's all you're trying to do. You're trying to increase the margin for error.
No
You
doubt.
can win anyway. You can go out there and win and shut out, somebody like you said. And yeah, you can win that game. The Super Bowl's one game on that particular day. In Super Bowl 52, they had to win a shootout. Super Bowl 57, they also had to win a shootout. They won one, they lost one. Are there different games?
You bring up
Yes.
57, man. I'm not going to lie to Eagles fans. As excited as I am about the win, as pumped as I am about the defense, as excited as I am to be in first place in the NFC East with a clear path now to, if not the 1 seed, pretty high up there, the 2 seed. I'm concerned about Jalen Hurts. I just am. I don't, I tweeted after right near the end of the game, and I said, it's great to get this win, but nothing about what I saw tonight made me feel better about the passing game. Now, I know people are going to have a problem with that. People are going to rip me in the chat. Whatever. I'm just calling a spade a spade. We got to analyze the game. We got to talk about it. I'm a little concerned on the Jalen Hurts front. I'm not going to lie to everybody, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I almost hope he did was a little groggy, to be
Yeah.
honest. I think it explains it more.
Well, remember, John, I also think that there's the context of like 2 games in 5 days. We talked about how there's no preparation for games like this. Does that have anything to do with it? Does it have anything to do with, I was talking to somebody last night and they're like, this is one of those games. It's an old school NFC East game. Get the win and move on. You're happy to get the win and you're happy to move into first place.
Yeah.
Who cares about what Jalen looked like? Who cares about that? It's one of those old school division games that's a battle. Find a way to win. And you move
By the
on.
way, speaking of that, interesting with Quinyon Mitchell last night. I was talking to Quinyon after the game, and somebody asked him, Danny Gray is one of the Eagles practice squad receivers, very, very talented kid. He was a 3rd-round pick at one point. And, the Eagles hope down the road that maybe, he could develop into something. But typically, Danny Gray is the guy who on the scout team mimics, Jamar Chase and he got asked if he was Danny Gray mimicking Terry McLaurin. And Quinyon is a straight shooter. And he's like, well, we didn't really practice. Nobody mimicked anybody. They don't practice. They don't I think people don't. They literally do not practice
Right.
in these weeks. And he's like, well, yeah, we didn't. Nobody did because we didn't practice. Nobody mimicked Terry McLaurin. So there you have it.
No doubt about it. A lot of people crying in the chat about the comments. I know, guys. You want me to just come up here and say, yay, we win. We're in first place in the NFC East. Okay, I'll see you on Monday. I mean, come on, man. We got to analyze the game. I'm saying, that was not Jalen Hurts' best game at all. It wasn't. A checks in, and I appreciate A, John, because John A was with me late on the post-game show, so he's running on low hours of sleep too. Hey, thank you, brother. He says dirt balls all game from Jaden as well, like number 5. McNabb was
Oh, yeah. Well, the same thing. They're saying the same thing in Washington now. They're making excuses and saying, well, he's got a rib injury. He's this. Well, I'm sure he does. Everybody's banged up. Yeah, he did not. Zander called it mediocre. It wasn't mediocre. He was bad.
Yeah.
And I love the kid. I would have taken him number 1 overall. I say it all the time, and I still think he's going to be a pain in the ass for this team long term. But last night, he was not good. He didn't reach the level of mediocre. And a lot of that had to do with Jalen Carter and that defense.
No doubt about it. They played great last night. F Body checks in. J Mac, can you text Nick to give whatever speech he gives to get them going at halftime during the first quarter? Slow starts are killing me. It is funny, man. This is a second.
Believe me, they're trying. They're trying. And they've been showing a little bit more life recently, early in games. They had a couple first downs. They were moving yesterday. They were moving the football, and then they had a conversion to A.J. Brown. It was nice, and they had 2 conversions. The first one was 3rd and 2. Saquon run right up the middle for 3 yards. They moved the sticks. Then they had a 3rd and 6. It was A.J. for 7 yards. And you say, oh, they're starting to cook. Then they got A.J. again for 25 yards, and they're all the way down to the Washington 23. And then they run it. Saquon minus 2 yards. They lose 2 yards. They're behind the sticks. And then they throw a manufactured touch to the guy who's not a manufactured touch player, but they only manufacture touches for him, Anaya Smith, and they lose another 2 yards. And then Mekhi Becton on that same play was called for holding, and it was legit. That one was legit. And Lane could have been called on holding as well. And because the reason both of them got caught for holding is Jalen was leaving the pocket when he probably shouldn't have left the pocket and trying to extend plays, blah, blah, blah. So there's some good to that and bad to that. But all of a sudden, 2nd and 12 turns into 2nd and 22. And then incomplete pass and your 3rd and 22. What, again, Kellen Moore doesn't have 3rd and 22 on his call sheet. It's better than 3rd and 33. But 3rd and 22 is not good. And they do what they should do, and they ran a draw to Kenny Gainwell. By the way, Nick Sirianni was above. He was so happy with the way Kenny played. Everybody's talking about Saquon, and rightfully so. But they were gashing him with Kenny.
In 4K. I mean, he did. He was 4 carries for 43 yards. So he averaged over 10 yards a carry. But, I mean, I kind of would have liked to see him a little bit more. But I get it with the nature of the game. It was a Saquon game.
And then Jake missed a field goal. So they should have had points on their first drive. But he missed a 44-yard field goal.
Yep.
But it's always, the negative play. They're getting a little bit better. They're trying, but they have not been good early in games offensively. But then the defense went out there and got a 3 and out. And you're right back on the field.
Defense had a couple big stops in that game. And, one of the clutch moments in that game actually was in that first half, John, and I said it when it happened. When we punted, the Commanders took a block in the back penalty. I think it was their 2nd or 3rd drive. And then they started back around their own 5-yard line. They never got the first down there. It completely flipped the field. And then the Eagles started in plus territory there.
Wow.
And I think that was when they got their first points on the board, if I'm not mistaken. Or did they miss the field goal there? I don't remember exactly, but I remember it flipped the field like completely.
Oh, they went. So that was the first drive. The second, Washington gets the ball. They go 3 and out. That was the Zach Baun early pass
Yeah,
breakup.
that was tremendous.
That was Tressway's great punter, by the way. He pinned the Eagles back. And then the Eagles got one first down, converted third one. They were very good on third down early in the game. And then they had a 3rd and 8 after that, and sack by Jalen Hurts, typically taking the coverage sack. And the Eagles had to punt. And then was the Commanders' one drive, which was really all Austin Eckler and then Brian Robinson. And it was uncharacteristic. It's like the only bad play from Zach Bond since Atlanta. They threw that little flat past Eckler, who went 34, 35 yards, and Zach was there and for whatever reason didn't tackle him. It was kind of riding him down the sidelines. And then they just ran it in. It was Jaden Daniels for 5 yards, Brian Robinson for 18 yards, and then to the 1 yard line, and then he just pushed it in. That was their only bad series defensively in the game, really. Unless you want to, I'm not talking about garbage time. They were just,
Yeah, that was that garbage. Yeah, I'm not worried about that garbage time touchdown. Big super chat comes in from Kyle, man. Thank you, bro. $50. I'll get to that in just a second. I appreciate that a lot, man. That's big support of the channel, and we appreciate that. We'll spend some time on that super chat for sure. Brian Garner checks in. Few thoughts. Daniels didn't look right. Jalen in the passing game was horrible. I think he may have been a little woozy from the flea flicker play and the hit at the end of the half. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. And then you start with the trick plays, and that you get too cute. Nick didn't like the trick play question, but guess what, Nick? When you run trick plays, you're going to get questions about it. Now it's not, Kellen's calling the plays. I don't want to go down that route, but
yeah, we got a lot of that already I got a lot of that on Twitter. Oh, Nick called that play. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think so, everybody.
No, yeah, that's not the case.
Like a triple flea flicker. I don't even know what they were trying to do there.
What again? What does the guy got to do? I mean, now here you are, you're 8-2 again, and you're still complaining about the head coach with the top 10 record in the history of the NFL. I mean, what's the guy got to do?
No doubt. Brian, thanks for the super chat, brother. I appreciate it. Brian, one more. It says defense is miles and miles ahead of the offense.
They are miles ahead of the offense. It's bizarre. They've been much better than the offense. It is unfathomable to me that this is how it's shaken out. But that's why you play the games. Everybody's playing with just supreme confidence on defense. They're all, playing together, the chemistry, the communication. Everybody's making plays, young players, veteran players. Brandon Graham's on his way out the door making plays. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell are on their way in the door making plays. Reed Blankenship is just, another interception from his perspective. We talked about linebackers.
Yeah.
Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean.
Yeah, Nakobe Dean deserves some credit too, man. He, what I love about Nakobe, John, is he might be small. When he hits somebody, he friggin' hits them, man. He puts a body on people.
By the way, that is the silver. I talked about it all the time with TJ Edwards. That is something that is people don't understand. Maybe the silver lining to Nakobe Dean's foot injuries last year. He was in first of all, he was in a rollabout, so, you have no mobility. Then he's on crutches. Then he's on in a boot for just a long period of time. And he could not do a lot of working out on his lower body. So he spent a lot of time working out his upper body. And he is massive and huge compared to what he used to be. and you can see it show up on game day as far as strength and pushing people back and going forward. So Vic Fangio, when he was talking about all ball linebackers in general the other week, brought up Sam Mills because he was a big part of Sam. He's a Hall of Famer. Rest his soul. But and somebody made a quip about Zach Berman, being the same size as Sam Mills because Zach's short. But and Vic was like, Sam wasn't small because everybody uses that. I used to use it with Darren Sproles. People would say, Darren Sproles is small. No, he wasn't small. He was short. Darren Sproles was maybe pound for pound the strongest Eagle.
Yeah, he was low key a beast, Darren Sproles. Yeah.
He wasn't small, he was short. That's Nakobe. He's short. He's not small.
Yeah, no, he's not. It looks like he's revamped his body a little bit. One more, and then we'll get to the $50 burger from Kyle, man. Thank you, brother. Vulnerable Vitality checks in. Ed Reed Blankenship. We just talked about him. I love it. Has such amazing instincts. How many times have we seen him step up into the route like that and jump the ball? Big brain play. I like it. Big brain play.
Well,
Johnny
Reed's
Maxwell.
done a number of that early in the season. You remember he had the two.
That's his third interception of the year last night.
Yeah.
I think he had one against New Orleans and one in the opener against the Packers.
Yeah, and they were both phenomenal interceptions. Yep. This one, this was not a big brain play. This was Jaden Daniels just, all right, I haven't done a damn thing. I'm going to take. That was as easy as Reed's going to get it. I'm with you. Reed's a big brain guy. Reed makes that play was not. That was a gift.
He does deserve some credit though, man, for how.
I call him the most underrated defensive player.
I'm not saying you don't give him credit, but
I'm just saying that his other two interceptions this year are exactly that description. Exactly. The Green Bay interception was phenomenal. They were basically the same type of thing. This one, that was a bad throw.
Yeah, tossed the burger up to him. Good stuff, Vulnerable. Thank you, brother. All right, John. It's gonna be a debate. It's gonna be a topic here with Kyle. And Kyle, I can't thank you enough, man. $50. That's a big super chat. I appreciate that support as always. Big thanks to everybody in the chat right now. Got a big crowd in here on a Victory Friday, so make sure you guys smash that like button before I read the super chat because you might get pissed off at the super chat. Kyle, thank you, man. John,
I'm not gonna get pissed off.
No, you're not. The people might though. John. Not giving up on Jalen, and I'm not trying to be over the top. But at what point do the Eagles go get a pure pocket passer and move off of Jalen? It happened to Jimmy G and Jared Goff after Super Bowl losses because they were limited in the passing game.
Yes, it did. But, those guys did not have the history of Jalen Hurts. So there's different levels. Like I'm not going to compare Jalen Hurts to Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he's a much better quarterback. And even now, I think people look at the way Jared is playing now and say, all right, Jared Goff is very accurate. And, Detroit has set up this system that plays into what he does well, very astutely. But they have everything, Detroit, much like the Eagles. He's a better quarterback than Jared Goff. Now, does he do it a different way? Yes, he does it a different way. But I can't, I often talk about it with Nick, 42-19, And again, there's a lot of context to that. And you can't be 42-19 without really good talent as a coach, which Nick will be the first to acknowledge. But now it'll be 42-19, and wherever they end, almost 700 football. They're going to make the playoffs again. It's just a matter of where they are and how they finish. So they'll be 4 for 4 in making the playoffs. And I bring all that up because the same holds true for Jalen Hurts. He's been the starting quarterback. A couple games. If you think about the 2-5 start in the Nick Sirianni era, from that point forward, they're 40-14. yeah, I'm not changing the quarterback. Now, he was hurt for a couple of those games, but they lost with Gardner Minshew. They lost 2 games. So his record's even better.
Yeah.
Now, I always say embrace the uniqueness, but he's got to get there's both things can be true. He's not going to be a traditional pocket passer. The Eagles know that. They still paid him $250 million. They're fine with that. But he's got to be more consistent with the plays that are there. That's what you're looking for. But no, I'm not pulling the plug on a guy with that kind of success rate. And you saw it again last night. Was it ugly at times? Yes. And then all of a sudden he's making a big play.
Yeah. I agree. And look, I didn't think Jalen had the worst game. I mean, he didn't turn the ball over, which was solid. They won the game. He made a couple plays with the run. The one thing that I'd like to see from Jalen, obviously, you talk about the pocket presence and some of those things where he misses guys across the middle, but I just want the lows to be higher. I want higher lows because I think it's just a little too much at, peaks and valleys with them. And if you can make a little higher lows, I think it's going to make your life a little bit easier. Even you're not going to expect them to be on at every moment of every game. I'm not saying that, but you don't want him to have such peaks and valleys. And I think, we'll see if he can do that. But I kind of understand what Kyle's saying, John, when you think about the talent on the offense. I'm not saying I agree with him,
but if you have Jared Goff, maybe you're better, maybe you're worse because you're not converting those third downs with the legs.
Yeah.
But maybe you're being a little bit more consistent in the passing game. Probably would be, but I don't know. I'll be the first to say wins and losses aren't a quarterback stat, but when you win as much as this team does, it's closer to being a quarterback stat than other quarterbacks, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
I mean, you take out his rookie year where he's 1-3, which is, bullshit. It wasn't his offense. They're trying to get out of the season. So 4 years as a starter, he's 41 and 16.
It is unbelievable. I mean, look, you can't results speak for themselves, and he's got a good roster and everything, but there were moments in that game that definitely had you wondering what was going through his head. I do still maintain that. I think he was freaking woozy after that play. Let's get to our commercial break, John. We're an hour deep. Jeff Kerr, he's still sleeping. That's all right. I can't beat him up too much. We'll get him up on Monday.
Also, I said goodbye to Jeff at probably he left before me, so I don't know, 2:30, whatever the hell it was. And again, I did forget to remind him, but he volunteered too to come on. He volunteered. It's a bad job.
I think Jeff likes coming on. I like getting Jeff on too. He's good, man. I like talking to Jeff.
But I never ask people to come on at 8:20 in the morning
after a night game. Yeah, it's a little much to ask, especially for people that are covering the game like you guys are at the thing. Yeah. No doubt about that. All right, let's get to our commercial break. I want to thank everybody for being here. We got a great crowd in here. As usual, Birds 365 continues to grow. You guys continue to make it happen. So hit that like button for me. All the other super chats, Wabzino, A, Shooter, McGavin, we'll get to them as well. So thank you guys for checking in with the super chats. Don't worry, no super chat will go unread. So we appreciate you for being here. Before I get to our break, I do want to tell you guys about the great people at BetUS sponsoring Birds 365 through the season here. And I put the promo code on your screen. It's YouTube 150. It gives you 50% or 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit and 125% on your second and third deposits, all up to $2,000. So go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa and check them out and use that promo code YouTube150. We'll be back in 3 minutes, everybody, on Birds 365. Plenty more to talk about on a Victory Friday.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies, would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on sports grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on sports grid. Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Victory Friday here on Birds 365. The Philadelphia Eagles get the win last night, 26-18. They moved to 8-2 on the year. Commanders fall to 7-4, and the gap is all of a sudden widening. Now a 2-game lead in the NFC East for the Birds. They control their destiny here, and that's a good spot to be in. And could have a shot at the number 1 seed depending on what the Detroit Lions do. So we're sitting pretty, and a good win last night on a Thursday night in Lincoln Financial Field. By the way, if anybody was at the link, I'm sure you're not in here right now because you're probably tired, but I'd love to hear from you. The link looked like it was rocking last night. They were booing a little bit, but they were rocking. They always boo. It's Philly. I get it. John, I want to give you some stats here since the bye week, and I know you're not going to go here because, you know, you're a great, objective, pragmatic reporter. Meanwhile, there's me who sometimes gets a little giddy when I read some of these things. Eagles since the bye week, 6-0 record. Jalen Hurts, most touchdowns in the NFL. Saquon Barkley, most rushing yards in the NFL. They have the number 1 ranked rushing offense, the number 1 ranked total defense, and the number 1 ranked passing defense. Are we in for a special season? John McMullen, it's starting to feel that way for me.
Yeah, I mean, Nick broke out the special shit messaging, which I asked him about, and he said, no, it wasn't. I asked him if he pulled it out, you know, before he said it during the Dallas week. And if that was purposeful, and he felt that, you know, this team had crossed that line. He was like, no, it's been pretty consistent. But, yeah, I mean, well, if the defense continues to play like this, yeah. And, you know, it's there's always something you can point to and say, yeah, but. And but they're evaporating week by week. The yeah buts, they're still there. There's still a couple. You know, I'm going to tell you know, people are losing their minds about the Quinyon stats, who played very well. And I'm going to go, yeah, but they didn't even try to get the ball outside. So, is it the chicken or the egg? Other than, the most important thing is what you should take out of it is what Terry McLaurin said about him, which we already knew. He doesn't play like a rookie. We know that. We know he's really good as a rookie. But, there's always they didn't even try to get if they tried, you'd have a better indication, but they didn't try.
Well, let me ask you this, because a little bit ago, and I think you're right when you say this, but you told me, I think the word you used was demarcation line would be when they don't target Quinion anymore. Well, they didn't do it last night. Are you just putting more of that on the defensive line for how great they were?
Well,
last night?
yeah, that's how I took it, because
Yeah.
I think Jaden Daniels got spooked, like I made the boxing analogy, and Chris agreed with me. Chris Franklin, we were talking about it, and I'm like, to me, I mean, he wasn't, because it wasn't just Quinion. They didn't throw the ball to the outside receivers.
Right.
They didn't throw it to anybody. Noah Brown had 4 targets. He led the receivers on it, and a couple of those were, bubble screen bullshit. They didn't throw it outside at all. I think if Kaylee Ringo and Isaiah Rodgers were out there, they wouldn't have thrown it outside, is all I'm trying to say. Not that Quinion played poorly or Quinion's not a good player. He's a very good player. I'm just saying they didn't try, and they didn't try because of other circumstances, in my opinion. So when I say there's always something, look, this hasn't been the greatest stretch of opponents, and the opponents that remain, Cincinnati and Washington. Jaden Daniels played like shit. Joe Burrow did not play like shit. So that's the one game I kind of hang my hat on if I'm an Eagles fan. Because they had perhaps the best receiver in football, and they were trying to get him the ball, and they shut him down for the most part. He had a bunch of catches, but only for like 50 yards. I forget the exact numbers, 6 for 53, something like that. That's my point. They were trying to get him the football. And if you remember the interception, it was Isaiah Rodgers late, the CJ Gardner interception. That's a great play. They're trying to get, that's what you do with great receivers.
Right.
Like last week, it was Jefferson. Well, Jacksonville did a great job on Jefferson. They're trying to get him the fucking ball, though.
Right.
You never stop trying to get him the ball. You never stop trying to get Jamar Chase the ball. Jaden Daniels wouldn't try because he was spooked.
Yeah, that's just because the D line was so in his face, and yeah,
and he was looking for the pass rush, whether it was there or not. He was seeing the ghosts, and he was getting the ball out and just throwing it to the flats. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I take more out of the Cincinnati game than I take out of the game last night for the secondary, for the corners. For the defensive front, yeah, I'm like, yeah, they killed it against Washington. And going back to the Cincinnati game, I took more out of it for the secondary because they were making plays. That's a great play by Isaiah Rodgers. That's a great play by Cooper DeJean when he scraped over the top to stop the 4th and 1 on Jamar Chase. That's a great freaking play. That's all I'm trying to say, if that makes sense.
It does. I hear what you're saying. I appreciate it. John, anything else right now about this game that jumped off to you that we didn't maybe hit on? I thought we gave Zach Ball his good credit. I think, we gave that defensive line their credit. Quinion, we obviously talked about. Reed Blankenship, we talked about, who continues to make plays.
Josh Sweat, man, I should have mentioned Josh Sweat. He had a bunch of hurries. I think it was, Jalen most notably, but Josh Sweat was phenomenal as well. He had a big game from my perspective, and he's been playing really well. He's another guy who's just good, and I think people don't give him enough credit.
Yeah.
And then offensive line, PFF I just checked. They put up their preliminary data. It's not finished yet, but the top 4 players on offense, Landon Dickerson, by the way, is the toughest guy in the world. I'm convinced. I thought he was done.
I did too, man. Saquon fell right on his leg at an awful angle.
Yeah. Best player, according to them. Jordan Mailata, number 2, coming off of 4 weeks of inactivity, so no practice. That tells you about Jordan Mailata. Cam Jurgens, Lane Johnson. Top 4. Poor Mekhi Becton, he only had an average game. And he, by the way, on the one touchdown, watch Cam Jurgens' block, which we talked about it. On the other touchdown, it's Mekhi. Watch his block. Just massive holes.
Yeah. Mekhi did there was a couple plays in the game that they kind of worked around.
Well,
Mekhi.
he got a holding call, so he probably got graded down for that. He graded down for penalty.
He got beat a few times. I'm not picking on him, but he did get beat a few times. He was the one guy on the offensive line that got beat a little bit. But overall,
he's having a good year, though.
Yeah. No doubt. I'm not trying to take away anything from him. Definitely.
But the top 4 players, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, Cam Jurgens, Lane Johnson. So everybody's going to talk about.
Is that just offense, or does that include the defense too? And it's just
just offense, defense.
I'm wondering if Vaughn got another elite grade.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
No.
Josh is the only blue chipper. Josh Sweat.
Okay.
And then it's Reed, Milton Williams, and limited. Milton got hurt, by the way. He was limping pretty significantly. Milton was 3rd, Quinion was 4th, CJ was 5th on defense. You know what hurt Zach Bone, I guarantee, was that one drive.
The one play. You're talking about the play, the pass?
There were 2 plays. There were 2 plays. Yeah, the flat, and then he got bowled over in the middle, which is rare for him.
Yeah.
On one of the Robinson run.
Yeah.
So it was him.
That pass to the flat to Eckler, Bond just couldn't get him down.
Yeah. So it was actually 2 plays on that drive, which was very uncharacteristic. But overall, he still had a good grade. Everybody's in the green, as I like to say, on defense, because they were so good. And the guys who weren't good, it was tackling. A couple guys didn't tackle well. Cooper didn't tackle well. Brandon didn't tackle well. And Jordan didn't tackle well, but Jordan Davis. But, if you're taking up 2 blockers and you're not you're still doing your job. People don't get that job. I maintain. But yeah, it's tough to nitpick on the defense. But overall, it's number 1 would be Landon. Number 2 would be Josh Sweat. Number 3 would be Jordan Mailata. Number 4 would be Cam Jurgens. Number 5 would be Lane Johnson. So it's all offensive line pretty much.
Yeah, good stuff there. I don't think we gave Barkley enough credit. He had nearly 200 yards of all-purpose of yards from scrimmage yesterday, 50 plus in the passing game. He had that big 43-yard gain on the dump off from Jalen Hurts, which I was happy to see. And he had nearly 150 in the running game. I mean,
yeah, but remember these grades.
Line.
Remember there were 3 quarters before the 4th quarter, so these grades are more about consistency.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about the grade. I'm just talking about in general the kind of impact this guy is having. I know the offensive line's been great, but it's insane what Saquon Barkley's doing. And I just saw a stat that popped up. Saquon Barkley. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Is the fastest player in Eagle history to 1,000 yards, and he did it in 10 games. The second closest was Shady McCoy, who did it in 12 games. So Saquon Barkley is having a very special season right now in Eagle Green.
Yes, we know by how many jerseys are given away on this program. He's been I don't know. Like I said, there was one person that was above me, the Saquon hater. Because I asked, you know how many people I asked.
No, we asked
Hey,
everybody.
How many total yards from scrimmage? And I was at 16 to 1700. One guy went ahead of me, including the listeners. You know, they're like the ones who did say, "Oh, he's going to get 14, 15." You know, he's blowing by all of that. Ed Kratz had him at like 17, 18. I forget exactly. He went above me. Nobody else went above me. Nobody expected this.
He's the MVP of this team right now, John. Because of the flash. I think it is the offensive line.
Well, it depends on your definition. Look, splash players get, again, he's
right.
not.
They get the accolades.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're talking that way, yes. But like I said, watch the two pretend it's very difficult. Watch the 2 touchdown runs. Where's he going to go other than the end zone?
No.
I mean, I'm not trying to downgrade.
No, you're not. I know what
phenomenal.
You're saying. Yeah,
the guy's phenomenal. But where's he going to go?
I know. It's amazing, man. That offensive line, they literally make a highway for him, a freeway, dude. He's got a freeway. It's unbelievable what that offensive line is doing. John, let's read a couple super chats. I appreciate everybody being in here this morning. Got a good crowd as always. So big thanks to you. Abe says the division will be getting swept. We'll see, Abe. That would be good stuff if they sweep the division. They have a chance to do it for sure with the Cowboys and the Giants. One more for that. One more game versus everybody. Prince says 8-2 QB, and we're complaining as well, John. I don't know what Prince means.
I don't know what that means, but yeah, we're
not complaining. We're just analyzing the game. I think people want us to just get up here.
Yeah, everybody thinks criticism is complaining. Jalen will be the first one to tell you, and he's told me many times, there is no perfect game. You know, he calls it the standard, as he always does. You're always trying to reach that standard, but you can't reach it. It doesn't exist. He's very self-critical, which is a good thing. And, you know, like I said, he's striving to get better. He doesn't think he's perfect. So I don't know if he's trying to say we're complaining about him. I thought they'd have a better passing game. It's pretty much where it is. I thought they wouldn't have to scale back to being what they're trying to play right now because they would be effective doing both consistently. And they've only been effective with one consistently, one phase.
Right.
There's big plays, and there's always big plays. The Dallas Goedert play, you know, thanks to Grant, but there's always big plays. The shots that Devontae Smith against what was that, Jacksonville? You know, the AJ, you look up and you say, well, they're not doing anything passing the football, and you look up and AJ's got 100 yards. Last night it was only 65, but you know, he's been very effective. Devontae's dealing with a hamstring, by the way, and he was limping pretty significantly to the point where I'm surprised they're playing him. Because typically they're very cautious. You saw with AJ. AJ sat out 3 games with a hamstring. Yeah. Dallas sat out 3 games with a hamstring.
Yeah, I wonder what they're doing with that. You know, I guess they think this mini bye week, maybe it's a chance for Devontae to heal up. We'll see about it. Let's see what happens. Wapzino. Look at that name, John. Wapzino. I don't know if I've ever seen you in the chat, brother, but I appreciate you being here. Big Eagles fan and a fan of the network from Tacoma, Washington. Look at that. All the way out on the West Coast. Do y'all think
the Tacoma Dome? I like. You
ever been to Washington State, John?
Yeah.
Never been. We'll see if I get.
If there's an NFL stadium or a NBA arena, I've probably been to your state.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah. So, yeah, Seattle, cool town. You know, a little bit too gray for me, but cool town.
Gray as hell.
And that's a cool stadium, by the way, Seattle.
Yeah. Wapzino checks in. He says, do y'all think Hurts not wanting to throw picks is why he holds the ball too long? It's a fair point. I don't think it's fully that. I think there's just some hesitation there, John. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, building when they were turning it over, I think it was more of an impact to that. But, you start thinking about it. If that's just human nature, if you start turning the football over, you start thinking about it a little bit more and maybe being a little bit more cautious. But they seem to have cleared that up for the most part. They had obviously 2 turnovers against Dallas, but they've cleared it up for the most part. I just think it's more of, either one of 2 things, not trusting what he sees, or trying to make a bigger play and trying to press that, rather than taking what's there, so to speak. And I try to ask as much as possible, whether it's Nick or Kellen or Jalen himself, where the progressions are on certain plays, because sometimes it's high low, sometimes it's low high, and you have to understand the progression. Understand, all right, should he be looking at AJ first? Should he be looking somewhere else first? Like that Devontae Smith play, everybody shot, because the Devontae Smith's right in his field of vision, for an easy first down, and he didn't take it. When I do talk to Kellen next week, I'm going to ask him, where's that football supposed to go? Because you have to understand the progression. But if it's supposed to go to Devontae, that's kind of inexcusable, to be honest, because that's there. That's wide open. That 4th and 3 I keep bringing up to AJ Brown that everybody was complaining about. That's a good play call. That's there. Everything's there for you, but you got to pull the trigger. And he was definitely the first progression on that 4th and 3, AJ Brown. And the play was there. He just didn't pull the trigger. Why didn't he pull it? Evidently, he didn't see it quick enough.
I want to give credit, John, this morning to one of our great guest who frequents Birds 365 and has been good to us for a long time, and that's the great Les Bowen. Les Bowen put out a tweet a little bit ago, and he basically, and I don't know how many characters, describes almost exactly how I'm feeling about Jalen Hurts. Les tweets this, and you guys should follow Les on Twitter at Les Bowen. I get both sides of the Jalen Hurts debate. He's so tough. He makes big clutch plays. He wins. Agreed. But the pass game weapons the Eagles have, for long stretches, it's like watching a Ferrari crawl along in the slow lane with the flashers on. This offense could and should be unstoppable. And I couldn't agree with that more, where I'm not downplaying the success of Jalen Hurts. I'm not downplaying what he brings to our team. I would not agree with Kyle, who dropped our $50 chat earlier and said, should we replace him? I am not in that boat at all. But sometimes it's tough to watch, and you're just like, what's going on? And then you look at the weapons. I think it's fair to feel that way as a fan. What do you have to say about what Les Bowen put out there?
Yeah, it's pretty much what I've been saying. Les just said it better. And well done, Les.
Yeah.
That's awesome, exactly what I've been talking about. The guy is relentless. He makes big plays. He creates issues for the defense, but the passing game isn't there. It's not consistent. And, good for the Ferrari analogy. There are long periods where it looks ugly and clunky. I always use that term, clunky. And it's never going to be perfect. As I said, nothing's perfect, but it shouldn't be this difficult with this group. And, I talked about the offensive line a lot last night, and I've talked about them a lot today. And this is before PFF came out with their grades. And I told you how well they played, and not that I'm a football. It's easy to see. So then you have these games like early in Dallas where they're like, what's going on with the offensive line? They're giving up sacks. They're not giving up sacks. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
You can't hold the football for 4 or 5 seconds on a consistent basis against Micah Parsons. The quarterback's part of it as well when it comes to pass protection. This is, if not the best offensive line in football, certainly number 2, at worst number 2. You have A.J. Brown. You have Devontae Smith. You have Dallas Goedert. We go down it. You have Saquon Barkley. Look what happens when he dumps it off to Saquon Barkley. It's one of the things, if you go back to all those discussions about the passing game, all that bullshit about Saquon Barkley playing slot receiver and being outside doesn't exist. Like I told you, it wasn't going to exist. But you dump the football off to him, you might get 42 yards or whatever he got yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was a 43-yard gain for him.
And he has had a propensity for not wanting to do that. Yesterday, he did it. They got a big play out of it. So there have been incremental improvements, but it shouldn't look this difficult. It shouldn't. And it's fair to point out. And then it's also fair to point out, yeah, but he's a pain in the ass to deal with.
No, you can't take that away from him. If you're going to be in the criticism camp, which is fine, you got to point that out too. You're right.
Yeah. Everything I was saying about Jaden Daniels that he wasn't yesterday is true about Jalen Hurts, and he was. He was a pain in the ass. There was that little third down conversion where, I forget who was racing, and he stuck the football out, and they spotted it behind the first down originally, and the replay assistant just came in and said, no, he got the first down. There's a perfect example of just making something out of nothing, extending a drive. Yeah, he's a very good player, but it's also fair to point out that there are places he needs to improve if they want to be what they want to be. And most of it involves with getting the football out a little bit more quickly. And that's been going in a negative direction. Next gen stats, I bring it up. I'll see if they updated it while I'm down this. But I'm sure it didn't improve from last night, the time to throw. It seems to be going in a negative direction more than a positive direction. And if it wasn't 2.78 in the Super Bowl season, I wouldn't talk about 2.78, but it was 2.78. And now it's 3.1, worse than the NFL. Time to get the football out. Now, he's always going to be near the bottom. Or
Right.
best case scenario, mid-range, which is what he was in 2022, because you
that
don't want
off
to take
schedule,
away,
right.
yeah, you don't want to take away that off schedule stuff. So again, I'm not asking him to be Tua, who gets the football out because he's, I don't know, scared of taking another hit, but he gets the football out way too quickly. But he's got to get it out a little bit quicker when the meat is on the bone right in front of him.
I agree. Kevin Savar is always good for one funny comment a day. With Jalen, you need a grandfather clock instead of a stopwatch. Good stuff, Kevin Savar. Appreciate it, brother.
I always use the sundial. I would say Justin Fields was the guy who you measure his decision making with a sundial, not a stopwatch.
Yeah.
Justin Fields gets the football out in 3.04 seconds. Jalen Hurts 3.1.
Yeah, it's a little long for sure. Jason A-Team checks in. I'm going to get to all the super chats. Big thanks to everybody this morning. Make sure you guys smash that like button. We're up to 176. Can we get to 200, 250? Come on, everybody. The Birds are in first place in the NFC East. Smash that like button for Johnny Mack, who's on about 3 hours, maybe 3.5 if we're lucky, of sleep. Maybe less. And me the same. So drop a like on the show for us, will you, everybody? We appreciate that.
I'm delusional at this point. I'm in the protocol. Different ways.
Yeah.
Different ways.
Well, add that with the concussion protocol that I've put you through. You might be feeling it a little bit more than Jalen Hurts is this morning. Jason A-Team checks in. Appreciate you, Jason. One of our great supporters here on JAKIB Sports. He says, Big Z and J-Mac, this team is really good. My worries really are the QB not seeing the middle of the field. Defense looks insane. No one thought we would be this good after last year. And Barkley is the MVP. Jason, I agree with a lot of what you're saying there, my man.
Well, Lamar
very
Jackson
good.
exists. If you mean the literal MVP,
I think he's talking about our team.
You never know. I mean, there's still plenty of football to play, but yeah, Lamar's going to win the MVP if it continues to go, and deservedly so, by the way. But MVP of this team, yeah, I get the splashiness aspect, but boy, if I'm talking about the MVP of this team, I'm going. Dare I go Zach Bond? Dare I go down that route?
You were going to say O-line. But yeah, Zach's in that.
Well, no, I mean, I can't give it to a group. I would love to give it to the group. If I could give it to a group, I would give it to the offensive line. But
I don't know. You could make an argument for Zach Bond based on the numbers of the defense, how high.
I mean, the defense has been better than the offense. Who had that on their bingo card? The Philadelphia Eagles defense has been better than the Philadelphia Eagles offense. Now, it's different. The good thing about this team, who gives a shit about MVPs? You know what the good thing about this team is? They got a bunch of guys you can make arguments for. You can make arguments for the offensive line. You can make arguments for Saquon. You can make arguments even for A.J. Brown as the best player, if you want to go about it that way. You can make arguments for Jalen Carter. You can make arguments for Zach Bond. Just enjoy it. Who gives a shit about MVPs? Good team.
Good stuff, A-Team. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the support, brother. Let's go to Keith Johnson. Zander, where are all the Commanders fans now? Crickets, you're right, Keith. They were popping up in the chat yesterday. Now they're like little.
Yeah, I didn't know Scott Van Pelt was a Commanders fan.
What's that?
Whatever. Scott Van Pelt, I guess, is in.
Oh yeah, that was funny. Jalen on the.
It was kind of awkward, but
it was really awkward. I mean, I thought it was super awkward. I thought Scott tried to handle it as good as he could, but it was definitely an awkward moment there.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know he was a Commanders fan, but look, those people have been through a lot. I give them some credit.
Fuck them. I said it earlier this week. I'll say it again. Fuck them.
They were excited. But I said, it takes steps, man. You got to go. The Eagles are battle tested going through this kind of stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but they're battle tested. They've been, as I said, playoffs. This will be the fourth consecutive year they'll be in the playoffs. How many games they've won over the past 4 years. They're battle tested. They've been in these spots. Washington is not. And it showed in the fourth quarter.
I agree for sure. Suplex City checks in. Suplex, thank you, man. Todd, thank you for being the #1 Eagles pod in the biz, even if the offseason is when the wrestling pod happens and Xander's cousin stepsister wins the jersey. Come on, Suplex!
Whoa. There's some accusations there. No, I think you've been pretty above board. There have been people from Europe, right, who've won.
Yeah, the NFL is taking a while to ship. Actually, everybody else got their jersey very quick, but they were all in America. The last guy, I'm still waiting on the NFL to ship that thing, and I paid a pretty penny for shipping. Come on, NFL, ship it out. To Paul Blome, I think, won the jersey. He did. So good stuff from Paul. And we'll be giving away our jersey this week on Monday, everybody. So Monday, after hours of Birds 365, I will give away another Saquon Barkley jersey. Will he get one every week? Maybe. Flexing and stepping. I hope Suplex wins just to shut his ass up. And then he'll claim he's my cousin, won't he? Flexing and stepping, because I had the defense being better than the offense, J-Mac. Flexing, I will give you credit. You did say that back in the summer. I remember it in the chat.
What?
He did. I got to give him now.
Come on.
He did. I'm telling you, this guy did. Now, he also said, what'd you say, Flex? 7 to 9 wins. Not looking too good on that one, Flex.
Is this just the Jalen Hurts hater and
No,
one
he's
of
not.
those things?
No, he's not. He's not.
Because I mean, this person said the Eagles defense was going to be better than the Eagles offense in August. Because
I'll go pull the receipts. Flex
I mean,
Flex
that,
frequents in the chat. So if the evidence is there, the evidence is
that's
out there.
fine. I'd like to see the evidence, but if there is evidence to that point,
McMullen not buying it, Flex.
I'm not buying it. And if you are, there's something behind it. It's either delusion or hatred of Jalen Hurts. There's something behind it, or hatred of Nick Sirianni, because there is no one from a logical standpoint could say that the Eagles offense with 97 all pros, obviously hyperbole, was going to be worse than the Eagles defense with a bunch of nothings.
John questioning your motives, Flex.
Yeah.
He checked in. I was wrong about the 7-9 wins. I'm not a Jalen hater.
Well, I mean, were you a Devin White truther? Because I had a lot of them.
No, he wasn't that. Flex is more of a very cautiously optimistic type of Eagle fan where he's just not bought until he sees it, which I can. He said, I definitely hate Nick. So he's a Nick hater.
There's always something. I mean, come on. Why would you think the Eagles defense would be better than the Eagles offense? Why would anyone think that? Why would anyone? That's what makes it such a great story. What did you think Nakobe Dean was going to turn into the? But did you think Zach Bond was going to be Zach Bond? Did you know Jalen Carter, who couldn't get through 10 games, would play 66 snaps in week 11? Did you know Quinyon Mitchell would be shutting down the best receivers in football? Did you know Cooper DeJean was? Yeah, come on. I'm not buying.
Flex, you woke Johnny Mack up. He said defense had more depth, J Mac.
That's okay, but there's no injuries. You know, long term, you lost obviously AJ. You lost for a short period of time. You lost Dallas Goedert. You lost Jordan Mailata. But you know, compared to other teams who have significant injuries, guys gone for the season, guys gone for the majority of the season, the Eagles have been healthy from that perspective. I said they probably had more depth on defense, but again, that's not what I'm saying. You know, that they would have a better defense with Zach Bond and Quinyon Mitchell and all these good stories and Cooper DeJean, and they were going to be better than Saquon Barkley and AJ Brown and Devontae. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Flex, you were being called on the carpet. You might have to pull some receipts, my guy. Share them to me on Twitter, and I'll send them John's way.
Well, they can be. Then I'm going to send out, you know, then there's some delusion involved.
Brian Pumper checks in. Good morning to everyone in Philly except Jalen Hurts and the kicker with a captain's patch. Big Dick Vic. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah. I don't. Jake had a bad game. You know, Jake the Make. We can no longer call him Jake the Make. Jalen didn't have a bad game. It's just clunky as usual.
Clunky as hell.
Yeah. But I mean, he didn't have a bad game. Jaden Daniels had a bad game. Jalen Hurts didn't have a bad game. Yeah. So I don't know.
He says Watkins is greater than Dotson at this point. A third for a ghost. Oh God. You're right. Guys made more plays in this offense, so that's for sure.
What do we? John made a great play against Jacksonville. Made another great play against Dallas. They didn't get him. He was making a great play there was a little bit of sign. Now, Jahan Dotson is significantly better than Quez Watkins. Significantly. Not to say that he's good, just significantly better than Quez Watkins. That's not. Jahan Dotson is more, I would say, again, not that he's good. He's just better. He's better than what they've had at the third receiver position. But they don't use it. B, they don't use it more this year than typical years because they've scaled back to where they were in 2021, which I continue to say is not necessarily a good thing. They don't use it, number one. So, yeah, with the third round pick, and Howie will tell you he got, he always wanted that trade was Dotson and a 5th round pick for a 3rd round pick and 2 7th round picks. So there's more to it than just 3rd for Jahan Dotson. But yeah, he gave up too much, which I've said pretty consistently. But Jahan Dotson's better than Quez Watkins. Come on.
Hasn't been more productive. Let's keep rolling. Eagles a true contender. I want to drink Pennzoil.
Yeah, they're a true contender. There's
I think he's a Patriots fan. Shooter McGavin.
There's 5 or 6 true contenders, and they're in that group.
They are.
They're in that group.
They are. Life with Trucker says the best reporting on the Eagles. #JMac. I love that, man. Thank you, brother. I'm sure JMac appreciates it as well.
I do appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I agree with him, by the way. Brian Garner says Howie might have to use the tag on Bond. They're not going to do that. No way.
No way.
No way. I mean, that just hands things cap wise.
That means if it's the exclusive tag, you're paying the average of top 5 at the position. That ain't happening. If it's the non-exclusive tag, you're
doesn't
paying.
It also lock in though the cap hit? So there's not like you can't even do any.
You have to.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, it locks in the cap hit when you sign the tag, but you can negotiate and as long as you do it before the deadline, you can negotiate a different contract.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect it. But no, just from the standpoint, no, they're not paying them top 5 at the position. And non-exclusive is top 10, either one. No, they're not going to use the tag on any off-ball linebacker.
Good stuff.
Roquan Smith exists, and those guys exist, which push up the number dramatically.
Good stuff, Brian. Thank you, man. Philly Don says, "Hey, John, did they offer you a piece of Smitty's cake?"
No, they did not. They don't offer us much. No, happy birthday to Smitty, though, even though he's limping around, as I said. They did have the birthday cake, 26. Yeah, I'm a little surprised they're letting him play through that. But who knows? I was surprised they let Jordan Mailata play. That worked out well. They didn't practice. And he's been out for 4 weeks. I thought, it made sense that, all right, get through this game. Then you have the mini bye, so he gets some extra time. And he's got a whole week of practice, and he'd be back for the Rams. That's what I thought was going to happen with Jordan Mailata. They didn't practice, and he's out there. And by the way, he was there.
Played amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Second best player, according to PFF, right next to his buddy, Landon Dickerson.
Good stuff. Devontae says Quinyanamo Bay and Cooper Cheese. J-Mac. Cooper Cheese? What's that mean, Devontae?
I don't know, but they hit some home runs,
Is that the dairy thing because he's a white guy? Is that what that means?
I was surprised. Him and Reed came in with the goofy T-shirts.
Yeah, the exciting whites. That was stupid. You know what name I do not like for the white dudes on the secondary is it's all over Twitter. Ku Klux Clamps. I'm like, that's such you bring a negative thing into the team. I hate that nickname. I thought it was really stupid, but anyway, we'll keep going.
I like Slay's. Slay was the first who came up with milk check for Reed.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I like that one. And Cooper's like, it reads a little different. Reads more of the traditional white guy, high football IQ, maybe not the best athlete at safety, but just always in the right position. Cooper's a better athlete than everybody. So, he's the guy who just, you don't believe he's going to be that athlete, and he's that athlete. So yeah. Anyway,
Good
but yeah,
stuff.
I don't like that. Yeah, milk check I like.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. But it's all over Twitter. I see it everywhere, and it gets like millions of retweets. I'm like, why do people retweet this shit? Anyway, A says a third rounder for one bobbled catch. Come on, John. A doesn't like Jahan Dotson, John.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. They don't throw the foot. First of all, I was comparing him to Quez Watkins. Now Quez is these people hated Quez Watkins to the point I was defending Quez Watkins. Jahan Dotson's better than Quez Watkins. That's all I said. I said the day of the trade, that's too much. But again, it's not Jahan Dotson for a third round pick. It's Jahan Dotson and a 5th round pick for a 3rd round pick and 2 7th round picks. That's the trade. It's too much, especially because they don't use third receiver. They don't use the 2 receivers they have now that they scaled back to being a running team. So, but you can see where the Eagles' mentality was before to where it is now. So as things are going, as things are going as well as they are, I still think it's a negative in the net long term. When they made that trade, when Howie made that trade, he was projecting what he wanted the offense to be.
Right.
And the offense isn't what he wanted it to be. So factor that into it.
I wonder how they're feeling right now. I wonder what they're thinking about this team right now. D. Hughes checks in. Appreciate it, D. He says, good morning. Just now tapping in. Thanks for being here, man. Under center pass to Goddard, dump off to Saquon. 2 things Hurts doesn't do often on the same drive to get things going early in that 3rd quarter. That's a good takeaway. I'll take that.
Yeah, well, the dump offs to Barkley, I mean, the big one. That to me is a big advancement. He never does that, basically. Very rarely did he do that. And nobody was near Saquon for that reason. They don't do that. So all he had to do was turn around, and he got all this open field because, you're breaking a tendency by doing that. And, now you have it on tape, and now people will have to give it, pay it more attention. Maybe that opens up something else. It's always good. If a guy's wide open, dump it off. Let him go. Let him run. Let him graze.
Good stuff. D. Hughes, thanks for checking in, brother. I appreciate it, man. A follows up. I'll lay off Dotson for now, but I'd rather see the rookies out there. Just put them in the flames.
Oh, come on, dude. I can't even believe.
Rip them, John.
Boy, that is a perfect example of, always going for door number 3 and presuming the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. That grass is dead and brown.
I think both of them are brown, to be honest with you. Both grasses on both sides of the fence. Done and dusted.
Jahan Dotson is much, 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 much. How many muches can I go better than Johnny Wilson or Anaya Smith?
Yeah, you're right about that.
Quez Watkins is much better than Johnny Wilson or Anaya Smith right now. Yeah, I mean, come on. Yeah. Don't confuse the Eagles' inability to get it. It's sort of like I was saying about Washington. Don't confuse Washington's inability to even try to throw the football outside the numbers with necessarily with correlated with the success you want to correlate it with. And that's, Quinyon shutting down Terry McLaurin, because you can always throw the football. if you want to throw the football, using Jamar Chase as an example, using Justin Jefferson. Nobody stops throwing those guys the football. That's more on the quarterback getting spooked. The Eagles offense not throwing to the third receiver. They haven't thrown it to Quez Watkins, Olamide Zaccheaus, Julio Jones. This is just in the past year. Now Jahan Dotson. You really think they're going to start throwing it to Johnny Wilson and Anais Smith? They give Anais a manufactured touch. I can't even believe he made the team to begin with. And they don't want to cut him because, hey, long term, maybe he's got some potential as that manufactured touch player. Not working yet. And boy, Johnny Wilson, he's Joseph Nada with a bigger hairdo when it comes to getting separation. I mean, my God, come on, people. Jahan Dotson is you talk about athletes, a big time athlete. Yeah, it hasn't. They pay too much for him. They don't throw the ball to the third receiver. All that is true. But come on. I can't help you if you think.
Hey, I'm happy you got a little stop it out of John McMullen. So thanks for doing that, brother. Abe checks in. Is Hurts developing his pocket presence and passing now because this type of play style won't last as he ages? He has to improve now. I think Abe is right.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would help to improve. Yeah.
Well, I think to Abe's point, we talked about this on the post game show last night. Some great commentary from the people late into the night last night. But he's like, how many more years of this until Jalen he can't gash teams with his legs anymore? He's already a little bit of a lesser runner now than he was a couple of years ago. It's just the nature of the beast in the NFL.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you're already seeing Jaden Daniels get banged.
Right. So like the on the flip side of that, Jalen's going to have to improve in the passing game. What do you say to Abe, John?
I say embrace the uniqueness. Ride it as long as you can. It's the shelf. He ain't playing at 40. And then you got to move on to somebody else. Do you want him to improve? Yeah, that's what they're trying to get him to improve. That's it. They've been trying. That's the whole point. Right. It's the whole point of why you're getting Jahan Dotson. To go back to that, again, the sentiment. If the sentiment isn't obvious to you when they make that trade, what they want to be, I can't help you. They're not that, and that's why I think it's counterintuitive for most fans because you're enjoying all the wins, you're enjoying all the Saquon big runs, and it's just Philadelphia. You run the football, take the points. That's not what they want to be.
Good stuff, John. This next super chat's maybe we'll get a stop it. Rashid Mixon. John, I will revisit this until the season ends or you admit Saquon is to the Eagles what CMC is to the 49ers.
When he can run a route like a receiver, I'll admit it. Until that day, it ain't happening.
What about impact, though?
The impact has been tremendous for Saquon. Yeah. The impact is there. Is he a better football player than Christian McCaffrey? Again, I'm talking about Christian. Again, football's not the stasis. I'm talking about Christian McCaffrey at his height. No, come on, stop it. There, you're going to get to stop it. I mean, you don't have to be. Again, you don't have to have the best, but there's some obvious holes in Saquon's game that Christian McCaffrey does not have. If you're being completely honest with yourself. You don't see drops like there was a certain drop. You don't see mental errors to that degree. I mean, are we really having this discussion? Like the as impressive as the Jimmy Snuka leapfrog is, that doesn't make you a good football player. It makes you a physical, athletic freak. It's actually kind
Yeah,
of
but
not.
Saquon's both.
No, I'm not saying he's not, but that's what splashes out to people. Well, Christian McCaffrey, I got that. That Christian McCaffrey can't do that. Yeah, you're right. He can't do that. Why would he want to do that? You know, I mean, I don't know what to tell people. It's not close. You know, is he in the conversation for being next best? Sure, put him in that conversation. But again, where is all this impact? Where is all this impact? You don't need a slot receiver. You don't need to trade for Jahan because you'll just put Saquon in the slot and he'll beat he'll beat NFL corners running routes. Now, Zander, I've been laughing about that since day one. That's a fucking day off for an NFL cornerback. That is a day off. And the Eagles aren't that stupid to do it. And that's nothing against Saquon Barkley because nobody can do it. No running, maybe Bijan a little bit. He's very good, actually. But other than Christian McCaffrey, nobody can do it.
I see what you're saying, but Rashid follows up. I'm not talking about his height. I'm talking about the impact CMC has on the 49ers, Saquon has on the Eagles. I got to be honest. I think I agree with Rashid here, John. I agree with what you're saying. He's not a receiver like Christian is. Christian's a more overall talented player probably, but boy, what Saquon's done to this all. I mean, John, our passing game is significantly worse right now, at least from my perspective, than it was a year ago. And they're winning football games.
Now,
Saquon's running all over everybody.
Listen to what you just said. What was the first part of what you just said?
What, that the passing game is worse?
Yeah.
Well, it's different impacts. Yeah, you mean you're saying
now. Look, again, there were 3 splash plays by Saquon Barkley in yesterday's game. Like, people get mad at the PFF rankings. Like, why isn't Saquon number 1? Look at the 3 plays. Like, don't listen to me. Look at the 3 plays yourself. Look at the dump off. Where are the defenders? That was not a leapfrog over somebody. That's just running down the field, rolling. Look at the Cam Jurgens block. Like I said before, where's he going, Zander? Where's he going? Is he going to turn left to the sidelines? It is a massive red carpet to the end zone. Look at the Mekhi Becton block. Look at him wall off the entire side of the defense. Where's he going? Now, here's the difference with Saquon as opposed to Miles or, and I've said it pretty consistently, or DeAndre, who are great athletes or were great athletes in their own right. You know, they probably get 17, 23-yard touchdown. They probably get 17, 18 yards. They're inside the 5 because they don't have his athletic ability. And in the 39-yard touchdown, maybe they get 30 and they're inside the 10. That's the difference between. They were already the most dominant running game in the NFL since 2021. Now they're more dominant. And the counterintuitive point of that is the passing offense has gotten worse.
Yes, it has. You're right about that for sure.
Because it's a crutch.
All right, John, I'm going to let you get out of here. I'm going to get your final thoughts here. We had a bunch of super chats that we had to rip through, and I'm going to get to the rest of them once I let John drop off here. But we've reached overtime here on Birds 365, doing it on short rest here. So let's let Johnny Mac get out of here. But John, final thoughts on this game, man. Birds sitting at 8-2 now, number 1 seed in the NFC East, have a shot to win number 1 seed, maybe make the playoffs, come through Philly, depending on what happens with Detroit. Your final takeaways from this game and how it's, what your thought process is on this team after watching it unfold.
Significant contender. You know, I want to increase the margin of error. That's where I am. I want to increase the margin of error. I want them right now. I have them behind Detroit. And that's probably it. And I think they can beat anybody else, but the game's got to go a certain way for them to win. And I didn't think that was going to be the case. I thought the Eagles would be able to beat anybody anyway, and they're not there. So again, we're nitpicking because we're talking about one of the few teams that are legitimate Super Bowl contenders, yet somehow they're not where I hope they would be.
We'll see what ends up
But
happening.
we need to come and before I leave, just to piss people off. And again, this is not me. These are the running backs that PFF ranks above the MVP. Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry, Tyler Algier, Kenneth Walker, Bucky Irvin, Josh Jacobs, James Conner, Aaron Jones, who I advocated the Eagles should sign.
Oh, come on. Fuck you, PFF.
There you go.
Oh, come on. I'm not a PFF hater. That's
You just are. You just are. You just are. But when I tell you so-and-so's number one, when I tell you Jordan Mailata is the best tackle in all of football, ahead of Teron Armstead, Penei Sewell, Lane Johnson, Trent Williams, you fucking love it.
You're telling me Bucky Irving is better than Saquon Barkley?
Well, Bucky Irving in limited snaps. So I should have taken Bucky Irving out because he plays limited snaps. He's just doing an effective job in his role. If you understand it, you understand there were 3 quarters last night before the 4th quarter, and you understand he's driving with an excavation vehicle throwing architectural dig sites.
John,
if you look,
I got a concussion.
If you look at Bijan Robinson and Derrick Henry and Kenneth Walker and Josh Jacobs and James Conner, who's having a fucking phenomenal year for that bullshit team, and Aaron Jones, who is fucking unbelievable, and I've been talking about for years. Yeah, you don't know what you're looking at.
Holy shit. We ended with some fireworks here. Johnny Mac, good stuff, brother. Last question for you, John. Good morning, Zig and Jay. Not football related, but curious if you guys are tuning into the spectacle of Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul on Netflix. Go Birds. John,
well, I have Netflix, so I'm already paying for it.
Yeah,
and
might as well watch it, right?
No, I'm not watching that nonsense. No.
Hey, Martine, I'll tell you this. If it goes past 3 rounds, I got to go Jake Paul because I don't think it's 60.
See, here's the thing, and I got to go because I got to. But
yeah, you got to get.
I love boxing. I love real boxing, and these
too.
bullshit celebrity fights have ruined boxing, and I don't like them, so I'm not supporting them.
All right, that's fine. All right, John, good show, man. Thanks for doing it. Short rest. Maybe you'll get a nap in today at some point. If not,
nap. Like that's the problem, man.
Sleep.
I wish I could.
Never been a napper in my life, so I'll not be napping. But at least you have off on Sunday, or at least no game to cover on Sunday. So go get some rest, John. The people of JAKIB Nation, and certainly me, appreciate your work. Well done, my friend.
All right. Sorry to piss everybody off at the end.
That's all right. I love it. I love it, Johnny Mac. Good stuff, brother.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Good stuff from John McMullen. I'm going to close it out soon here. I just want to get through all of our super chats. Big thanks to John getting up today. I thought he did a great job covering the game last night, joined the post-game show, and gave us a good 2 hours and 3 minutes here on Birds 365. I'm running on short rest, but I think the 8-2 Philadelphia Eagles, Saquon Barkley, is giving me the fuel to keep it going on Bird. Look at Sills. Hurts blows as a passer, 2-6 Eastern. Is that the most Silio promotion you'll ever hear in your life? Yes, it is. Nick Marchetti says, Barkley is the best back in football. No debate. Nick, I'm with you. But you heard Mr. PFF just give you a list of names of people who are ranked high. Bucky fucking Irving? Are you kidding me? Josh Jacobs? Tyler Algier? Are you kidding me? Holy shit. You got to be kidding me. This has turned into a rated R episode of Birds 365. Caleb, answer this for me before I answer your super. You must be in here still. Did you fall asleep last night? I was waiting to bring you on to the post game show, and I went to you, and it was crickets. Crickets, Caleb. I said he must have fell asleep with the phone on the lap. Good stuff, though, man. Appreciate it. He says CMC is not way better. Saquon being better than CMC is not outlandish. Yeah, I think they're comparable. I mean, I think Christian McCaffrey's obviously a pretty unbelievable talent, but I'm not about to sit here and disparage Saquon Barkley, who's already got over 1,000 yards in 10 games, who's now leading the NFL in rushing, and who is just gashing opponents left and right. Fucking, we put Tyler Algier, Bucky Irving. Holy shit. Silly, I'm coming for your ass today at 3:30 too, by the way. I already got that one. D. Hughes, Eagles, good chance at the 1 seed. It's going to depend on what Detroit does, man. Detroit has a good chance to win a lot of football games here in the end. So I think the Birds have a good chance too, though, D. Hughes. I do. I mean, I think the way the schedule looks, they got to win. I think the Steelers game is going to be a little tough. I think the Rams game, I think we're going to beat the Rams. I'm not too worried about them. Ravens, obviously, is going to be a good matchup. You got the Commanders again in Washington. Maybe they'll figure out, how to play versus the Eagles. I don't know. We'll see about that one. But a couple good games left. We'll see how it all pans out. Did I get all the super chats? CMC runs through massive holes. What do you mean? Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's going to happen. When you have a good offensive line, they make the running back looks better. No doubt about it. Good stuff, everybody. This has been a fun edition. By the way, 233 likes. Can I ask you guys for 17 more likes to get to 250 on the show today? Can we get to 250? We're up to 234. Appreciate everybody. Birds are 8-2, everybody. And despite what Cilio will tell you from 2 to 6 about Jalen Hurts this and all these gripes that he will come up with on this football team, we control our destiny. We are again in the driver's seat, and we are 8-2, and we're going to win the NFC East. Should I put the crow on the screen for Cilio's entire show today? 242 on the likes. Thank you guys, man. Good stuff. Any other comments I'll take real quick before I get the heck out of here? Overtime on Birds 365. Have some balls, Sills. Eat crow. Oh, he's eating crow. He's eating crow. No, you didn't mess me up, Caleb, at all, man. I appreciate it. He says, I'm so sorry, bro. I did fall asleep. Hope I didn't mess up your show. Truly sorry for real. I had some good stuff I wanted to say, too. Yeah, Caleb, actually, we had a couple of people that were waiting for you that I had on. The guy who came on before you was like, I'm looking forward to hearing what O-line Guru has to say. And then I'm like, is O-line Guru there? And you weren't there. But no, you didn't mess me up, man. All good. All good. It was late in the night, man. I can't pick on you. I missed a member chat. Let me find it. Let me see if I got it. I thought I got every chat today, but I might. Oh, here we go. I got it. The franchise doesn't want a pocket passer. Look at the history. Cunningham, McNabb, Vick, and Wentz. Well, Wentz was a little bit more of a pocket passer. McNabb had talent from the pocket, but he was obviously mobile. Yeah, I mean, you're right. That's the Eagles' history. They like to dual threat quarterback. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. Any other good comments on the way out that I will take here on Birds 365? One sec. Let me just double check this. Sorry, I just had to handle a little business on the air here. Mozzie Cilio. I like that. That's a great nickname. Mozzie Cilio. Mozzie Cilio. Sing it, everybody. Mozzie Cilio. Yes, big track. Jaden stunk last night. Looked like a rookie, as predicted. By the way, when am I going to get some flowers? I told you all week, I'm not scared of this Commanders team yet. They're going to come back to earth. Jaden Daniels has to prove it to me more. I wore the black shirt last night, and I said on the pregame show, this is the funeral. Now the Commanders are sitting at 7-4. I mean, 3 games off of 500. We're sitting at 8-2. 8-2. Eat that crow, Sills. Birds. Looking good, everybody. I'm starting to get feelings. You know, I trust my gut instinct because, man, it's been a lot recently. I'm getting feelings that this might be a Super Bowl team, everybody. Super Bowl team. Hear that, Big Sills? I'm starting to get that feeling. Flex, I'm not going to relax. I'm getting that feeling again, Flex. It's a special season right now unfolding before our eyes. Look at Cilio, toilet bowl. Cry, Cilio. Cry, Sills. Fleming says, I can feel it in my plums. I'm with you, brother. James Jones with the Eagle logo. Good morning, James Jones. We have knocked you back to reality. How do you feel about that, sir? How do you feel about that, James Jones? Your rookie looked like a rookie again. The commies were the commies again last night. Oh, boy, am I in a good mood today. Fuck the sleep. Who gives a shit? Birds 8-2. Birds feeling like a Super Bowl team again. Look at Cilio. This is the same dude who told me all week, oh my God, I love Jaden Daniels. Number 4, my quarterback rankings. Oh my God, I'm taking Jaden Daniels. Who picked the Commanders to win the game? That would be Big Sills. Who told me Jaden Daniels was better than Jalen Hurts? That would be Big Sills. Boy, it's a crow day for you, Sills. You know what? We're putting the crow in the corner. For Big Sills. He can't escape it today. You're not escaping it, Sills. Sills, you might want to rethink your program today and putting me on at 3:30 because I'm coming for blood, Sills. I'm coming for blood, my friend. All right, everybody. I got to get the hell out of here. I'm delusional, I think. I'm getting delusional on the low sleep. We went late into the night last night. We're going late into the morning today on Birds 365. I'm just jacked up. And we're up to 256 likes. Look at this. JAKIB Nation, you guys are the freaking best, man. That's going to do it on the show today. A great edition of Birds 365 here. Eagles are looking good, everybody. Let's see what James Jones says. We won 4 games last year, dumbass, doing this. Keep hating. Look at how pissed James Jones is. Oh, James, I'm sorry. Did we knock you back to reality, James? Did we knock you back to reality, Jammers? All you got is Barkley. Yeah, well, Barkley was good enough to beat your ass. Sorry, defense. Barkley at damn near 200 yards, dude. 150 on the ground and another 50 in the air. I love it. Everybody. I love it. I said it, man. If the Birds beat this team, I'm going to become insufferable. This might be the start of my insufferable arc for the rest of the year. Cilio telling me, oh, they're not this. Jalen this. 8-2. First in the NFC East. A chance to win first in the NFC. Best running back in the league. Defense playing like the number 1 unit in the league. Zach Bond, a top 3 linebacker, maybe one of the best linebackers in the league. You could argue the best linebacker in the league. Jalen Carter ruining defenses left and right. Reed Milkcheck, Blankenship making interceptions. Quinyon Mitchell locking down Scary Terry. Cooper DeJean looking like a veteran out there in the slot. Guys, it's all in front of us. It's all there. And Big Sills will continue to cry in the chat. Little pumpkin Cilio. Pumpkin Patch Sills. Hey, checks in. Jalen has done enough to win against Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, and Jordan Love this year, and next week, Stafford. You're right, done enough. Team's helping him out, but there's no doubt. He's done enough, man. I'm concerned a little bit about some of the passing game, but when your defense plays like this and your running back plays like this, boy, you can overcome a lot. And we had that debate last night with Sills and I. Sills backed down a little bit. I have nothing else to say. Okay, Big Sills. I love you, Sills. I do, man. You're the best. I'm looking forward to your show today, 2 to 6 Eastern. Make sure everybody goes and checks it out. If you agree with Sills, you'll be able to make your case. If you hate on Sills, you'll be able to make your case, regardless of what you think of Sills. It's a must-watch show today on the National Football Show from 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern. I thought we had a great show today on Birds 365, and I'll be doing something tomorrow for sure on a Saturday. You don't have a Thursday night game. You don't capture first place in the NFC East. You don't move to 8-2 on the year. You don't have a running back run for 150 yards to go quiet on a Saturday. I will be here in some capacity tomorrow on Saturday. So good stuff there. Appreciate everybody for being here today. Hit that like button on your way out. We're up to 263, which is impressive. I appreciate each and every one of you. And we will see you later on today. And if you're a Birds 365 fan, Monday, 8 to 10 a.m. should be a great show there, and we'll give away our jersey giveaway on Monday. So good stuff there. Thanks, everybody. That's going to do it. We'll see you 2 to 6 today, a must-watch edition of the National Football Show. Some are calling it the Krause Special. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.